You know what happened in that there is another group on Teams, I think called NEP 2020. I just entered there and there are lots of people in that group, Vinita.
Ma'am, I've just deleted that group, ma'am.
I know, but so many people, Janaki and Uma Kalyani, all are there.
Okay, I've posted. I'll post it to the BCs, ma'am, to inform the members.
Do that. So because
Yes,
in 2 minutes we are starting the training.
Okay, ma'am.
So
I'll
I
do
was
that right
wondering
away.
because that was popping up on my Teams as join now. So
Okay,
when I
ma'am.
joined, lots of people there, including parents.
Okay,
I don't
ma'am.
know whether to tell the parents to use the link because I think they
Yes,
came
ma'am.
to Teams and found it and entered there, ma.
Okay,
Some
ma'am. I'll just
misunderstanding.
inform them, ma'am.
Lots of people in that group there waiting on that NEP 2020 because it is on Teams already.
I'll just delete it, ma'am. 2 minutes, ma'am.
Right away, please. Otherwise, and inform those parents before you delete it, ma. Vinita.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll inform the parents.
Enter that meeting link and tell the parents there is an error from the school side. We have sent a YouTube link. Please join only that.
Okay, ma'am. I'll inform, ma'am.
Otherwise, they're all waiting there. Janaki Srinivasan, Uma Kalyani. So many of our teachers are on that panel there. I mean, the group there.
Okay, ma'am. I'll just inform right away, ma'am.
Please. Thank you. So
Thank
we'll start off just a minute to go, but you come back, Vinita. After you get back here, tell me, then I'll start. No problem.
Okay, ma'am.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'll wait. No problem.
Ma'am, I have informed, ma'am.
Right, thanks, Vinita. Shall we start now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Vande Gurum, ma'am.
Vande Gurum, everybody.
Yes, ma'am. So, we'll have a formal welcome address, ma'am. Vande Gurum. The highest education is that which does not merely give us information, but makes a life harmony with all existence, said Sri Rabindranath Tagore. Vande Guru. Today, we all have gathered here for the special webinar organized by our school. At this juncture, I welcome our correspondent and principal, Dr. Vasanthi Tyagarajan, who is going to broaden our horizon on the National Education Policy 2020. Ma'am, we welcome you and thank you for spending your valuable time amidst us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sharlin. Vande Gurum to all the teachers and to all the parents and students who have assembled at their homes to go through this session with me. We all know that the National Education Policy was launched in 2020 by the Government of India through the Ministry of Education, and CBSE has been one of the pioneering boards in the country which has taken this on a war footing and ensured that proper orientation has happened at all levels across. So the training and orientation has happened for principals separately. Then it went on to having an orientation for all the teachers. And finally, now we are doing the orientation for the parents, because I believe, and as we all truly believe, parents are the most important stakeholders who would support and help the schools to take the NEP essentials forward and ensure that the benefits percolate to our children. I thank all the parents for coming in on time, and we shall now start the presentation. I request Vinita to kindly concur that you can see my presentation, and if there's any block, kindly inform me so that I correct myself. Thank you.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, is my screen visible actually, Vinita?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So my slideshow was visible, full screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So once again, a warm welcome to everybody in partnership with the CBSE. We present before you the National Education Policy 2020 and implementing this in schools. Vande Gurum is the emblem or the logo which carries us through, and the consistent belief we have in the unique relationship between the Guru and the Sishya, and how both are inevitable in the learning process. The NEP largely subscribes to the same feeling that the student, the Sishya, is the center of all the learning. So I begin with the pillars of the NEP, as I call them. And the entire NEP, as we can see, rests on these crucial pillars of the access to quality education by all the children of this country, the equity that happens in the opportunity, the equality with which the treatment should happen to all our stakeholders, our children, the affordability of education for all, the accountability in the quality that we deliver, and therefore all of these pillars hinge on one singular purpose, and that is to develop good human beings. So what's the vision of the policy? The vision of the policy is to develop an education system that is deeply rooted in Indian ethos, and it has the capability to provide high quality education to compete in the global world. So the policy envisions our children getting equipped for taking on the global challenges seamlessly. And therefore, the vision of the policy goes on to say that the curriculum and the pedagogy must develop, first of all, a sense of respect towards the fundamental duties and the Constitution of India, and have a deep bond within the country. Because without this link between the pedagogy, the curriculum, and the fundamental duties and the Constitution of India, the bonding cannot happen. Then the vision of the policy moves on to talk about developing what we call a sense of pride and respect for the country, and to enable our students to become responsible, to enable human rights, sustainable development, global well-being, and therefore finally ensuring that all of this reflects in the form of a truly global citizen, a child who's responsible to take on all the issues of this global village in their stride. The key principles of NEP 2020, as we can see, would be the respect for diversity and local context. So that is very important, that the local context is being recognized, whichever state you may belong to, whatever local context is important, whatever diversity has been recognized in this diverse country of India, all of this has to be respected and therefore must be reflected in the curriculum, the pedagogy, and the policy. The NEP goes on to say that there must be equity and inclusion, and this has to be a cornerstone or the hinge or the pivot of all our educational decisions that we take. The NEP also envisages what we call the community participation. So it's not just about a community getting involved, it's all about how do we engage that community, how do we get into a facilitation for all of the philanthropic participation and the private participation as well as the community participation. And how do we do that very authentically? That is very important. And now we know, all with the COVID times, we've all undergone a crisis but managed it very, very efficiently by mastering most of the tools of technology. And therefore, it is natural that the NEP further strengthens the use of technology in all of our teaching and learning, using technology to remove language barriers for the young students, educational planning and management. The policy goes on to emphasize conceptual understanding, more than rote learning and just mugging up for exams. Children should understand concepts very clearly. So the emphasis in the teaching learning process has to be more on conceptual understanding. The next point is equally important in terms of recognizing unique capabilities of all of our children. We know that all our children are unique. We reiterate this on many platforms, but the NEP would want us to recognize that as one of the cornerstones of learning, that every child being unique needs to be recognized, identified, and strengthened. The NEP goes on further to talk about critical thinking and creativity, and a lot of the 21st century skills, which we shall explain later. And most importantly, all of what we do, could there be a continuous review and assessment by educational experts beyond the institution to ensure that these principles are practiced effectively and the principles reach the most important, the key stakeholder, the student. Vinita, can you concur that my slides are moving on the screen? Vinita?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Is my slide moving on?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So you can now see the entire capsule of NEP 2020 on your screens. Starts from the first clause of first chapter that talks about early childhood care and education, then moves on to the next chapter to talk about the foundational literacy numeracy. Thirdly, the NEP focuses on curtailing dropout rates, ensuring universal access to education, and then talks about restructuring school curriculum and pedagogy. The most important clause is about the holistic development of our learners, and then talking about multilingualism, curricular integration of all essential subjects and skills. And the fifth chapter is also equally critical in terms of the emphasis on teachers, the recruitment, the deployment of duties for teachers, the service environment and culture for teachers, because they are one of the most important stakeholders to become the enablers of learning for our children. And the policy moves on to look at equitable, inclusive education for our children. And finally, efficient resourcing and effective governance of institutions. All of this unfolds in the entire document of NEP 2020. So the first thing we are looking at in brief, this entire presentation has been encapsulated for brief understanding of this vast topic called the NEP. You may visit the Ministry of Education website and download the entire NEP document, or we'll try to give it to you today after this training is done in case you wish to read it. But this is very brief for our understanding. So we're looking at this change between the existing academic structure and the new academic structure, which is now displayed on your screens. So previously, as we all know, or as of now, we have the 2 years and then we go on to the 10 years. So 10 years from the class 1 to 10, and it goes on to the senior secondary of 2 years. That's a large block that we all are experiencing. But the new academic structure looks at it from these angles of a foundational stage, which is 3 years of a preschool, 2 years of grades 1 and 2, and the ages are mentioned as 6 to 8. Then we call the next stage as the preparatory stage of 3 years of classes 3 to 5 or associated with age 8 to 11. The middle school then is what we already know as classes 6 to 8. But there's going to be the merger of the last 4 years called the secondary stage now, classes 9 to 12, ages 14 to 18. That's the new academic structure that will unfold in a year or two when the NCF documents are prepared and merged with the NEP requirements. So to reiterate again, what are the features of each of these structures that we saw? So the foundational stage, starting at the bottom, of 5 years of pre-primary, then classes 1 and 2, would all be multi-level, playway methods, activity-based learning. That's going to be the focus there. In the preparatory stage of classes 3 to 5, the focus would be on, again, the playway methods, the discovery method, activity-based learning, and a lot of interactive classroom learning. Class 6 to 8 would move on to the middle stage, and here there will be a lot of focus on experiential learning in the sciences, in mathematics, in the arts, social sciences, and the humanities. And the last block, called the secondary stage, grades 9 to 12, would be looking at a very holistic approach for our children in terms of a lot of multidisciplinary study. So children do not learn in isolation. They learn physics, but they know how it applies to mathematics, maybe history, maybe language, maybe literature. That's how multidisciplinary study is going to be brought in. A lot of critical thinking emphasis is going to happen. There's going to be flexibility and student choice of subjects, because grades 9 to 12 is looked upon as that fruitful time of assimilation of strengths of after grade 10. So it's going to be a kind of a smooth transition of 4 years and exposure to a choice of subjects as well as career readiness in this stage. So the salient features, once again, as I already pointed out, the foundational stage, then the preparatory stage, the middle stage, and then we have the high school or the secondary stage. And as already pointed out, the playway method, the pedagogy of early childhood care and education is going to happen there. Again, a lot of focus on good behavior, courtesy, ethics, personal public hygiene, cleanliness, because children are coming from their homes, probably being the only child or with a sibling. So it's very important that the school takes up the responsibility during the foundational stage to demonstrate and support good behavior, to teach children all about courtesy, ethics, some personal hygiene, public hygiene, and cleanliness. And naturally here, the focus would be on building teamwork and cooperation at this stage, so that once the foundation is set, they can seamlessly enter into what we call the preparatory stage. So what's happening in the preparatory stage would be a very gradual transition from the foundational stage, where a lot of play-based learning happened, to very formal classroom learning. There's going to be a lot of interactive teaching learning happening here. A lot of introduction of subjects like physical education, the arts, languages, science, and mathematics. A lot of emphasis on the reading, writing, and speaking. So we can see how the steps change from foundational stage to the preparatory stage. As children grow older, their horizons broaden, and the school needs to support the broadening of this horizon. The middle stage will move on to subject-oriented pedagogical curricular methodology. And there would be specific subject teachers here in the middle stage. So the implication is that we have the choice of having mother teachers till grade 5, one teacher taking all of the subjects. But middle stage onwards, where there's a focus and on the concreteness of abstract concepts in subjects like science, math, art, social science, there has to be a subject-oriented pedagogical methodology, a curricular methodology, which demands subject teachers. And then the high school stage, the secondary stage as it's going to be called, is going to be the 4 years of the multidisciplinary study, greater depth, a lot of critical thinking, more attention to children on their life aspirations, getting children to look beyond what's happening in school to the world of work, to the world of careers, a global perspective, greater flexibility and student choice. Children must have more exposure to subjects, and it must enable greater flexibility. Here, there would be an emphasis on frequent assessments of modules of learning. So when we touch upon the early childhood care and education, it is called the foundation of learning, and it's very obvious that this is the foundation for all of the learning for children. because all of their learning, as you can see the little pictures below, the reading with comprehension, writing, the basic mathematical operations and basic life skills. Here what happens is that reading is not just reading in isolation, but reading with comprehension. Children must be able to read and comprehend what they're reading as a whole.
Ma'am, you're in mute, ma'am. Ma'am?
I think I've been muted.
Yes,
somebody has muted me. Where did I stop? Can you tell me? I'm so sorry. Sherlyn?
Ma'am, goals, ma'am.
Am I on ECC?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. ECC, curriculum and pedagogy development, ma'am.
So you're here, right? On the
Yes,
goals. Fine. So I request somebody to take care that I'm not muted. Thank you, Sherlyn, for that.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're looking at an ECC curriculum, and what we're looking at is the optimal outcome in the domain of physical motor development. Because children are coming to school for the first time, and early childhood care is critical. It's the foundation. You can't build the edifice of the entire child until and unless this foundation is given. So all of the physical development, all of the motor development, the basic cognitive development, the socio-emotional development, and then the cultural artistic development, as well as the development of communication, early languages, the literacy and the numeracy. All of these need to be emphasized through the way we develop our curriculum. Therefore, the NEP says we have to prepare the initial cadre of high quality ECE teachers. And therefore, the NEP is introducing through the National Council of Teacher Education plans to introduce a 6-month certification in early childhood care, a 1-year diploma covering all of early literacy numeracy, all aspects of the ECC, and they say this should be the minimum qualification, and the teachers could even be 10 plus 2 or above, but they need these diplomas or certificates. And there has to be an introduction of a preparatory class for children, like a bridge course for children of age 5, and learning would be based on a lot of play-based learning with the focus of developing all of the 4 skills which I showed you at the bottom. The reading with the comprehension, the ability to write with comprehension, children know what they're writing, basic mathematical operations, and they learn basic life skills. So the attainment of the foundational literacy and numeracy is called the FLM, the FLN. There is a mission mode by the MOE, the Ministry of Education, that by grade 3, all of this must be focused upon and attained through foundational skills, as already pointed out. And the MOE plans a national mission on foundational literacy numeracy to give this a war footing in the country. It also promises a book promotion for reading by students, a national book promotion policy, a focus on reading, writing, arithmetic in the early learning, 3-month play-based school, which gets them ready for grade 1. There will be a national repository, which we are already using on Diksha platform, high quality teaching learning resources. And finally, libraries, where school libraries must now become digitalized and leveraged to handle all of the foundation literacy numeracy requirements. So you can see by grade 3, all of this must be happening for our children. By 2025, schools must begin to move towards these goals. So what is happening through the NEP is there is a shift now to competency-based teaching, learning and assessment. So what does this mean?
Ma'am, you're in mute again, ma'am. Ma'am, your audio is muted.
Constantly. I don't know. Anyways, I'll come back.
Now your voice is audible, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah. Am I full screen now?
Yes, ma'am. Full screen, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So we are looking at that shift from traditional assessment to competency focused assessment. So instead of just giving a pen paper test, question answers, why am I giving that? For what? We have no idea. That kind of traditional assessment has to shift into competency. Learning outcomes have to be focused. Testing must happen only on learning outcomes. So track students' progress comprehensively and frequency. Look at both here. So child's progress is not one-shot tracking. It has to happen comprehensively, wholesomely. How does a child write, speak, spell, count, and so on, and frequently in order to give a feedback loop for continuous improvement. And therefore, the NEP also looks at designing varied tools and resources so the teachers are able to, students most importantly are able to attain the learning outcomes through the teaching learning process. And therefore, since there is so much to do on this competency-based teaching learning assessment, the NEP is now looking at reducing the curriculum to core essentials, the reduction of the bulk into core essentials to minimize rote learning. So the NEP has recognized the fact that bulk learning contains a lot of unwanted essentials, as they are called, and today it's going to be reduced. This does not mean there's going to be a watering down of syllabus, a reduction in standards. No, core essentials will be brought in for what children need for life, and unwanted non-essentials would be weeded out of the curriculum. This is one of the key areas of change in the NEP, where children and teachers will definitely benefit when there is a reduction in curriculum to only the core essentials. And the last part is very, very important, that along with all of this curriculum is what we call sports integration, arts integrated learning, so that there is a holistic development happening. So the sports integration and arts integrated learning do not stand isolated as subjects. They must constantly be integrated into the core subjects. So what's happening in this reduction? Just because there is a reduction in curriculum, what's happening? The core essentials are going to be driven. A lot of critical thinking, interactive classroom learning, and experiential learning is going to happen. So core essentials, as I pointed out, only what is required for the future, the learning that makes meaning to our children. And then it talks about the critical learning, inquiry-based learning, discovery learning, lot of discussion, analysis-based teaching, the learning methods, all of them only to go on to holistic education. And we all know, when we spoke about conducive learning in classrooms, our classrooms have to be highly interactive, a lot of focus on students, the reduced dependency on textbook learning. The textbook would be a broad guideline, and it is the teacher who's going to be that link between the child and the real world. Questions from children must be promoted in classrooms. And of course, the engine that's going to drive the entire reduction in curriculum but quality learning is going to be experiential learning. The NEP says that learning has to be experienced for deeper student learning, but it should have all of the fun, the creative thinking, the collaborative work, a lot of exploratory learning in classrooms. That's the engine of reform. So the NEP looks at curriculum and pedagogy being transformed by 2022. That's the next year, to promote skill-based learning and minimize the rote-based mugging up by heart to be reduced. And the National Curriculum Framework for school education and the National Curriculum Framework for teacher education, both are being revamped, remodeled to support the National Education Policy. All three have to be in sync. The curriculum framework, the teacher's curriculum framework for teacher education, and the curriculum framework for children. All the three need to be in sync, and that should happen by 2021 year end. So the highlights, once again, as I'm pointing out, are the competency-based education, that should happen. All modules on preparing and implementing pedagogical plans that's based on outcome-based education. Integration of all subjects, as we pointed out. The third one is the development of scientific temper. What do we mean by this? The inculcation of knowledge and practice of human constitutional values, patriotism, sacrifice, non-violence, truth, honesty, peace. And when we talk about scientific temper, it's all about the spirit of science and how do we inquire into science, purpose of science, science for peace, science for solving global issues. That's the kind of scientific temper that has to be developed in our children. It also goes on to look at the silos among the subjects and learning. So the NEP is focusing on trying to remove those baskets or the silos amongst the learning subjects. So no hard separation between the curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular, between academic and vocational, science and humanities, sports, the arts and academics. All of these have to be studied under one umbrella, and the challenge before teachers to see that there are common links amongst these areas and the silos are removed so that there's one basket, one umbrella of learning. And we all know the next point, which talks about the emphasis on the digital literacy. And we know how important it is. Therefore, coding and computational thinking is coming in a big way, along with ethical and moral reasoning about the use of the internet, digital literacy, and the promotion of multilingual teaching. So where states are asked to focus on their own languages as second language of learning, it is also important for children to know languages of neighboring states. And therefore they say you can enter into bilingual agreements with teachers in nearby states and hire your language teachers. You have some students who want to learn Kannada when they join some class in grade 8 or 9 by transfer. You do not have a Kannada teacher. You may have to outsource a Kannada teacher for 3 years from your neighboring state to support children who come in at that level. That's the bilateral agreement that must happen for multilingual language learning. Again, when we look at the innovative pedagogy and the transforming of the teaching learning process, what's happening is all about experiential learning, as I said, the integrated pedagogy that we emphasized, and the promotion of peer tutoring. So the peers, the students and their classmates, peer tutoring must happen in schools. So peers must be also oriented. How do I support learning in my class? There should be voluntary peer tutoring, joyful activities. Everyone loves to do peer tutoring. That's how it should happen, as a joyful activity, of course, under the supervision. So the promotion of peer tutoring is an area that school needs to focus on. Equal weightage, as I already pointed out. We cannot have those silos or silos between one subject and the other, and students must have the freedom to choose their variety of subject combinations. And it's going to happen in the days to come, especially in the 9, 10, 11, 12 category. We can expect that to happen. The next exciting, very important thing is the bagless days. And I'm sure children will love to see this because a lot of emphasis is on this heavy curriculum, heavy burden, not just in textbooks, but in the bag. It's not in the brain, but in the bag that children copy. So carry with them. It's very important then that schools start working on what we call bagless days. Of course, now it may not be very applicable when we have our online classes, but when the schools begin their face-to-face, we need to look at a bagless curriculum and bagless days. And of course, the use of technology and the seamless integration of technology in grades 6 to 12. I did mention the 21st century skills. So as parents, as students, and of course as teachers, we all know that these are the skills that are going to take our children into the world outside the portals of our school. And they are various areas and dimensions of skills such as problem solving, effective communication, critical thinking, creativity, health and fitness, social responsibility, ethics, integrity, scientific temper, collaboration. So these C's become very important: the collaboration, the communication, the critical thinking, the creativity. They are very important, as well as the others. So teachers have to see in all their classroom transactions, how do they seamlessly integrate these skills, so that whether the child is studying mathematics or the child is studying English language or Tamil or Hindi or maybe math, science, social science, what are we doing about problem solving there? How does the curriculum, how does the topic lend itself to problem solving? Can we generate it? Can we provide facility for effective communication among students? Is there facility for critical thinking, for creativity? Is there a focus on the health and fitness as part of our learning? What's happening to social responsibility during our learning? How about ethics? How about integrity? How do we embed it? This is where teachers need to focus and ensure that and understand that it is our responsibility to embed these skills seamlessly into our children's learning, because that's our responsibility to take these children through and get them future ready. Very important. The NEP talks about a lot of things like artificial intelligence, a lot of things like computational thinking, a lot of things like mathematical thinking. The reason being, there is a focus on looking at India's future, India's citizens and their future, India's leadership role in upcoming fields. So the NEP actually envisages Indian citizens having a leadership role in all of the fields given below and more of that. So we want our children to be leaders across the globe. We have to equip our children. So we look at computational thinking, and then we look at activities like coding that have to be introduced in the middle school stage, mathematical thinking through innovative methods, puzzles and games. A lot of contemporary subjects should come in at middle school and secondary: artificial intelligence, design thinking, holistic health, organic living, environmental education, global citizenship education. So many contemporary subjects are going to be introduced so that we get our children future ready. Now, all of this can happen if there is a clarity between the learning outcomes or the objectives of the NEP and how do we measure, how do we analyze, how do we evaluate, how do we audit, what are the goals we set, are we reaching those goals? And we're going to quickly take a look at the assessment that the NEP envisages. How does it plan assessment? So if you look at the screen, you can see that the first feature is that the NEP plans to transform the very picture of assessments into looking at not just a transformation, but tracking students' progress across their school years, like a massive portfolio, which means at 3 important levels, children take school-based examinations: grade 3, grade 5, and grade 8. Of course, later on the 9, 10, 11, 12 band will decide the career with major examinations. But what's going to be the key features? There will be a test of core concepts in assessments. The move away from rote memorization or by hearting. So the knowledge-based questions may be done away with. Maybe the next level of comprehension may be diluted. Application and beyond. There is going to be a centralized pool to conduct assessments for all schools, government and private, which I shall explain. The student data is going to be used by one central agency. The students' names could be anonymous, that's why it's anonymized. But schools can use public disclosure of overall outcomes. These are our results, this is how we did it, schools can do that. But the agency at central level, using the student data for improvement of schools and of education for the country, would use all our data from our portals to ensure that all schools get proper guidelines. And that's why that student data is going to be used for continuous monitoring of schools, improvement of schools, all government schools and private schools. Entire lot coming into a data tracking. So grade 3, grade 5, grade 8, grade 10 and 12, all of them have to achieve basic learning outcomes through the assessment of core concepts and knowledge from national local curricula. So there's a lot of focus on your local curricula, giving a lot of importance to your locality, wherever you might be located, Hosur, for example. So we have to draw from what's happening around us for our learning, our case studies. So you teach something about forests in geography, look at your local forest, what's happening there. That's the link, that's the real world learning for our children. And with that, relevant higher order thinking and application of knowledge in real life situations rather than the rote memorization. So you can see this term rote memorization being constantly used to say we are going to do away with that. And which means schools must realize that there could be rote learning in terms of a formula being learned the capital of a capital city of a state, but not to be used for assessment. It is to be used for higher order thinking skills, the base being used, not for testing. That is the focus of assessment. So the examinations, what we spoke about, the so-called grades, 3, 4, 5, 1 and 2 will not get into a formal stage of assessment. They will have continuous assessment, but the key stage areas would be 3, 5 and 8. And as pointed out, we move away from rote learning and then we look at critical learning outcomes. So the NCF is now planning to release its documents. The NCRT has already released a document on learning outcomes class-wise. The NCF is going to back it up with exemplars. We have to wait and read the NCF and link it with what we do. But it is very important that in every lesson that we do, we have to look at all the learning outcomes, but what are the essential learning outcomes in any lesson? How do I achieve them? How do I test on them? How do I evaluate? How do I then look at the reflection and work on continuous improvement? Now, what happens to the results of school examination? More than results being used only for a school to file away and appreciate and applaud efforts, the results of school examinations, as I pointed out earlier, would become a database. And that's going to be used for developmental purposes of every school in the country. And that is through continuous monitoring and improvement of a schooling system. Every school is going to come under that single common umbrella of a tracking to help the school improve its own systems within. So when we look at the examinations, a lot of funny terms are used, like board exams becoming easier, because basically board exams are not going to dilute their quality, but they are going to test primarily core capacities and competencies that children need. And a lot of viable models are still being explored, whether we should have an annual module, a semester one, a modular exam, two-part exam, objective, descriptive. All these are on the anvil and will be shortly shared with schools. Guidelines will be prepared by NCRT, and naturally, because of the local curricula, the state boards will be there. The SERTs will come in. And then the boards of assessment and PARAK, the National Board for Assessment. Teachers to be prepared for a transformation. By 22-23, we should all be ready for the changes. Each school board, whether it is CBSE, ICSE, whatever, has to prepare and ensure the equivalence of standards in learner attainments. And norms and guidelines going to happen through the PARAK National Center, which I shall explain shortly. And basically, beginning with mathematics, the NEP envisages all subjects can be offered at 2 levels. Hindi already has Hindi A and Hindi B. Mathematics already comes at 2 levels. Now the NEP says let's look at other subjects being offered at 2 levels. So children getting ready for a career with sciences could go to an advanced level, and the ones who are looking into humanities may not have to take a higher level at all. So this is what the NEP is trying to do in order to make things easier for children, not in terms of dilution, but in terms of facilitative learning environments for our children. So the very culture of assessment is going to change in the country. So there's going to be the continuous tracking of the learning outcome of every child in every school, all the board exams becoming flexible and assessment of only essential skills happening, assessment to focus on core concepts higher order thinking, foundational skills, artificial intelligence based software is going to happen. Then National Assessment Center is going to be introduced to bring in more synergy into board exams. Self-assessment, peer assessment focus is going to happen. The National Testing Agency, which is already doing the testing for the NEET examinations, it is a central center now already working there. And the NTA also does the mains and the JEE mains and then the advanced for entry into IITs and other higher education institutions of engineering, of agriculture and so on. The NTA is now going to be brought in to offer high quality common aptitude test to eliminate the need for taking coaching for these IIT exams. So this is what the NEP tries to do through the NTA, to do away with dependence on that, and the NTA will provide support for students to get ready for their exams. The next important thing is about the report card, which is going to be totally revamped into what we call a holistic report card. And it's not even called a report card, it's now going to be called a progress card. And all the progress is going to be holistic in terms of being 360 degrees. And this is to be, in the form of a very important link between the home and school. So it's not simply one teacher sitting in the school, 5 teachers assessing that child in that card. It's going to be the home, the parents, the teachers, the meetings that are happening, children's involvement, peer involvement, and everybody getting that 360-degree holistic report card ready for every child. We are still preparing it with the CBSE and the Ministry of Education, and when it's ready, it will be put up on a very, I would say, pilot project for certain schools to try out, after which it will be established across the entire nation through proper training. Results of school examinations are important, but they will be centralized and used for development purposes. It can be used by schools for public disclosure, as I told you, but the anonymized student outcome, which student did what, will not be shown, names will not be displayed. Continuous monitoring, as I pointed out, and the card talks about the progress that's happening in project-based learning, inquiry-based learning. How did the child participate in quizzes, role play, group work? How is the portfolio of the child? The self-assessment of the child, the peer assessment, the teacher assessment. And there are going to be a lot of interactive questionnaires for parents, teachers, students. And the progress will be looked at from the cognitive domain, the affective domain, and the psychomotor, the head and the hand and the heart. All of this must come into this card in a very holistic manner. That's why it's called a progress card, to show you where the child is now to where the child must go. So what is PARAK, as I spoke to you already? It is the National Center for the Assessment, Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. So they're going to set up, the Ministry of Education, the Center for looking at performance assessment, reviewing that performance, analyzing it, so that there will be holistic development. So the shift is going to happen. How does the PARAK work? It looks at that shift that's going to happen towards competency-based assessment, using that data and analyzing it for further development, ensuring that schools are promoting 21st century skills in their classrooms. So what's the objective of PARAK? PARAK will clearly set up the norms, standards and guidelines for us. It will be the guiding principles of State Achievement Survey. It will conduct a National Achievement Survey. It will monitor the achievement of learning outcomes in the whole country. So this is a very ambitious project of NEP through the Ministry of Education, where all schools are going to come under a scanner, or rather an umbrella of assessment, review, analysis for holistic development of every school, every child. Other significant changes we have to look at is the support that's going to happen for gifted students, students with special talents. And here what is important is the B.Ed programs are going to be tweaked and retuned so that the teachers are trained to specialize in education of gifted children. We know that as of now there is a specialization of inclusive education, children who have academic struggling needs, but there's no program to support the gifted learners. But these are the ones, no matter where they are academically, a gifted learner is not necessarily the one who tops the class. We're talking about gifted in where they are gifted, what they are gifted with. How do we encourage them? What about project-based clubs that could be supported to identify these talents? Look at Olympiads and competitions in a variety of subjects for a variety of children. Efforts for interventions in rural areas and in rural regional languages so that there is widespread participation to identify gifted student. The extensive use of technology to encourage this, and the NCERT and the National Council of Teacher Education developing the guidelines for the education of gifted children. And that's why the core to all this is the teacher. The B.Ed programs are now going to have specialization of education of gifted children as one subject for learning in the B.Ed program. Then the NEP also talks about the power of language learning, and we all know that children can master a variety of over 7 languages by the time they are 7 years old. So the NEP does focus on the medium of instruction, preferably till 8 being in the home language, but then there is a lot of controversy on this as to how every school can do it. So as of now, this has not been largely emphasized, but the languages of India coming on as a fun project, 3 languages as is already happening to be taught in every school, classical languages to be open like Sanskrit, to be given an option in schools so that children are exposed to classical languages for study. The next important aspect is about integrating vocational education at all levels. So the Loka Vidya is going to come in, where it's going to make sure that all of the vocational educational skills are exposed to children and made accessible. Practice-based curriculum for grade 6 to 8 will come in. A skill gap analysis will happen. Skills framework, the National Skills Qualification Framework, the NSQF, is going to emphasize on each vocation, each discipline, each profession. Open distance learning mode is going to open out for vocational education. A lot of vocational crafts are going to come in. You could use internship with carpenters, gardeners, potters, develop vocational crafts with children. Look into exposure by 2025. The mission is at least 50% of our children should have had exposure to vocational education. And we are very glad that in our school, we have already begun this kind of, internship with gardeners, with potters, with artists. Yes, and we are going to start with carpenters when we reopen. And then finally, a very important role of equitable, when we talked about equity, equitable inclusive education in NEP. The NEP talks about education as the single greatest tool for achieving social justice and equality. And therefore, the NEP tries to bridge that gender social category gap and ensure that every child is included in the learning umbrella. It's equity and equitable education for all. Then we move on to the teacher, who's going to hold the key to this entire success of this program. So naturally, when the NEP is so ambitious, the NEP definitely expects teachers to do much more than what we do today. A lot of emphasis has to go into teachers and teacher education. So the NEP is looking into 4 areas. How do I support and nurture teachers through all the phases of their tenure? The preparation of a teacher for the class. How do schools go about it? The recruitment of teachers, what should happen in the deployment of work for them? What happens to transfer wherever it is applicable in government schools? In the classroom, how do I nurture teachers? What happens to the continuous professional development? So the NEP aims to support and nurture teachers through all the phases of their tenure. And that is why it says the continuous professional development and improving the standards go hand in hand. Teachers must undertake at least 50 hours of continuous professional development every year. And it includes, how do I support gifted children? How do I become an effective online educator? Workshops to get principals and school leaders on board. 21st century teaching learning assessment. The workers at the Anganwadi, the local workers, teachers in early literacy numeracy, how are they getting trained? inclusion and equity becoming a key aspect. Every teacher knows all of it, secondary specialization, teaching children with disabilities. And therefore, the new comprehensive national curriculum framework for teacher education is going to be formulated. National professional teacher standards are going to be set up to set benchmarks for expectation of role of teachers, the standards of teacher performance, how appraisal is going to happen, inform the teachers about the design of all the pre-service education that's required. So the CBSE, which is our Board of Education, has taken many initiatives, pioneering education initiatives to get us ready for NEP 2020, even before the 2020 was launched. So we are very proud to be part of the CBSE family. We already know that a lot of contemporary subjects have already been offered by our board, the CBSE, artificial intelligence, holistic health, data science, organic living, design thinking, machine learning. So much of this has already been introduced. A lot of training happening on these areas. And if you look at curricular initiatives, CBSE has already brought an art and sport integration, programs for principals as pedagogical leaders, preparation of annual pedagogical plans, how do schools implement experiential learning pedagogies, arts integrated learning, sports integrated learning, storytelling, gaming, math and Hindi at 2 levels, English, Sanskrit is going to be introduced at 2 levels from 21-22, introduction of 9 vocational courses of 12-hour duration and 6 to 8, all of these envisaged to be now continuing through CBSE. And then we know some other initiatives are the mandatory adoption of learning outcomes by CBSE schools. So we were asked to go to the Diksha platform and complete the courses there. Creative critical thinking practice test. Some of our teachers are working in sync with the CBSE board. They have been selected to do work there. Informal assessments through student enrichment activity. Introduction of case-based questions in the question paper design. And we know that through the Diksha platform, the mandatory online training has already happened for experiential learning and competency based. And all of our 85 teachers have taken the courses and done very well on them. And the CBSE has focused a lot on development of resource materials like the handbook on experiential learning, the teacher's resource for achieving learning outcomes, and so on, all available on the CBSE portal. Student enrichment activities in plenty from the CBSE, the Aryabhatta Ganit Challenge for math, Heritage India Quiz, Ek Bharat Shreshth Bharat activities, CBSE Science Challenge, the reading challenge that happens, expression series, the Khelo India science exhibition. I'm sure all our parents, our children who are watching this are fully aware of these student enriched activities that are being given to us through the CBSE platform. So what is the expectation of NEP from schools? We need to focus on the core essentials and learning outcomes. We also as schools must stress on the importance of foundational skills of literacy numeracy. Looking at what's happening in KG to second, in literacy and numeracy, how do we strengthen that? Bring changes in classroom teaching, in alignment with the NEP 2020. Bring changes in assessment patterns. We have to work now to remove separation between subjects and disciplines, integrate them. How do we then work on providing vocational training to our children? Whom do we tap? How do we go about? How do we enable access to education for all our children and retention of our children in schools? Then the CBSE has gone into SCOAF, the self-audit of schools on the quality assurance and accreditation. Now this is going to be, once again, the manual is ready, the training is happening, and schools are being selected, and quality assurance is going to happen in all the schools to provide quality education for children. Then providing enabling resources. So the schools must take up the responsibility to support students and teachers with resources that enable them to support the children and themselves as teachers. Ensure that all our students at all levels are taught by passionate, motivated, highly qualified, professionally trained, well-equipped teachers. So it's not just about the degrees and the diplomas and the experience we have. Teachers need to be passionate, motivated, committed, and then of course mandatorily qualified. And then the NEP says we need to recruit qualified teachers as per the NCTE regulations. And the last part is about the engagement with parents. The NEP says nothing can become successful unless and until the parents are brought into direct interaction with the schools for a positive learning environment, because they hold the key. The community has to come in to support learning so that the holistic learning, the involved learning is happening through all the 360-degree stakeholders. So what do we do? It is very important to engage with parents. And how do we engage them? Tell parents what are the expected learning outcomes, portfolios, home assignments. Parents need to know what these mean. Sensitize the parents of children who've got physical disabilities or learning disabilities. If there are first generation learners, sensitize those parents and support them, which means we need to have a profile of our children and a profile of our parents too. Wherever possible, try and make home visits to understand what's happening and how do we support children. Arranging for workshops on parenting, especially on exam related anxieties and stress. Today there's a program that's happening on exam related anxieties. Engage with parents to deal with substance abuse, drug abuse, sexual orientation of children, other adolescent issues. Parents need to know what's happening. Constantly send information about activities to the parents and child's progress. Send the portfolios back for review and feedback. Tell parents what kind of assistance this child may need at home. Look at newsletters, emails, blogs, memos now becoming a regular feature. Get parents to become volunteers, especially at the FLN stage, the foundation of literacy numeracy stage. Parents can come in to support learning. They can help us to help the child hold the chalk piece, help the child to run, help the child to walk, help the child to do some life skills. They don't need formal training for that. Get them as volunteers. Let them come as volunteers for field visits, sports. When we have sports day, art exhibitions in the school, annual functions, let parents become a core part of the school. Exposure lectures, get parent specialists inside. If we have parents who are counselors, doctors, sports persons, filmmakers, we don't know, let's explore, get them in. Have parent representatives, we already have them in the school managing committee to make it more effective and impactful. Organize specific events only for parents. So this is one thing we have to start again. We did have it many years ago for Children's Day. Parents used to come on stage and entertain children. We'll now revive areas where there are specific events for our parents. Involve our parents when the school takes up the community outreach work so that they are part of the community. Parents are anyways part of the community. Let's involve all the parents, and I appeal to all the parents who are present here in this meeting, please extend your learning hand to us so that together we take the children forward. So we are very proud that with the NEP, much before that also, our school in a very proactive way, we have begun to take a lot of initiatives connected with the NEP, though the NEP came much later. First thing is that the moment the NEP was released, we made sure that our teachers were oriented on the essence of the NEP. All our teachers have completed all the mandatory courses on the Diksha platform. Experiential learning, competency-based education, learner-centered pedagogy, inclusive education. The number of subjects you can see on the screen: safe, healthy environment, health and well-being, school leadership, preschool education, pre-vocational, pedagogy of math, pedagogy of social science, pedagogy of science, of languages, the POXO Act. So many things our teachers have completed already on the Diksha platform. Through the CBSE Center of Excellence for Training, our teachers have undergone training on components of lesson planning, attainment of learning outcomes, the storytelling as a pedagogical tool. What are some strategies for a happy classroom? Integration of the arts into curriculum. What's change management all about? Using Bloom's taxonomy, constructivism, experiential learning fundamentals, strategies for a conducive learning environment, classroom management and its components, linking learning outcomes and authentic assessments, the Khelo India, part of it, all done by the school. How are we managing the challenges of COVID and online? classes. We've designed specific timetables for class LKG to 12 based on students' attention span. The class daily plans must begin with mindful meditation, which brings a calmness to the mind. Posture, how to sit down during the class, is frequently repeated by the teacher. Then etiquette, switching off the cameras and the audio, the mics until asked for. A value-based thought for the day for discussion. COVID safety rules being emphasized in every class. Then we have weekend art and co-scholastic activities, value-based stories for children. Online, offline study plan templates in the school are designed with a focus on experiential learning, on constructivism, on arts integration, 21st century. It's all embedded in the plan to ensure that teachers execute the plan, which is integrated and holistic. Online supervision of class is happening by principal and coordinators to ensure the smooth execution and continuous improvement in the teaching learning process. Then training on the online tools of assessment to equip our teachers to take the classes more efficiently. Special educators support through online additional worksheets and study materials. And more than that, do much more than what we speak here on the screen, but all that we ask you as parents is to help us help you. So thank you all parents for your very patient listening, for your cooperation and the constant support that you've given us in all our endeavors since the inception of Shishya School in 1989. It goes without saying that if we are recognized today by the CBSE as a very progressive school, one of the most progressive schools amongst all the CBSE schools in India, it is primarily due to the very strong, supportive teachers who are willing to take up additional learning all the time, expanding the horizons of their learning through training most willingly, and of our parents who have been the support at the backbone of this institution. I also want to thank the Shishya Educational Trust, which gives us complete unstinted effort, unstinted support in all our endeavors, the freedom, the empowerment to raise the standards of the school, because Shishya is meant for the Sishyans. And it is our endeavor that every child will utilize the school's motto of seeking the best, striving for the best, and then finally succeeding. So thank you all so much. I close with an NEP quote that education is fundamental for achieving the full human potential, developing an equitable, just society and promoting national development. The right kind of education only can achieve the full human potential that can allow the development of an equitable, just society, because our children should make society equitable and just. And then our children only can promote our national development. Let's take care of our children and ensure that these powerful citizens are going to carry India into the future. So thank you all very much for your very patient hearing. We look forward to your feedback. I think we have posted the feedback already, and I thank you all. If there are teacher parents here, we may invite some of you to pass your comments or your thoughts on the national education policy. Parent teachers who are present are welcome to unmute and talk about the national education policy and what it means to you as a parent. Please go ahead. Yes, please. Who's willing to speak? Is my voice audible?
Vande Guru ma'am, this is
Yes,
Vande
ma'am.
Guru ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am,
Go ahead.
yes, ma'am. Thank you for this training. And when the NEP came, it was really nice. But I felt, a little sad because my child is in class 12. Had she been
Okay.
this kind of 6 to 8, I thought that was a best kind of, ma'am, like the kind of programs and how education is in this class of 6 to 8, that's what I like the most, ma'am.
Definitely.
But I really feel sad because
you.
Shreya is missing all that. And
I
it's
know.
fine that, as a teacher, I think I have to take the 12th with whatever the experiential learning and all that, ma'am.
True, true. Thank you, Lata.
Thank
Can
you,
I
ma'am.
ask teachers to also unmute their audio videos so that this becomes an interactive session and parent teachers can kindly speak. Go ahead. Thank you, Lata. Can you all switch on your video cameras, the parents?
Thank you, ma'am.
Teacher parents, kindly switch on your video cameras. I should call out names. Switch
Yes,
on
ma'am.
your video cameras, please. Yeah. Yes, Charlene, your views.
Yes, ma'am. Vande Guru, ma'am. Actually, thank you for this wonderful training, ma'am. So the NEP actually it will definitely help the children to it will the joyful learning will definitely happen, ma'am. The policy ensures that joyful learning will happen, and the step-by-step explanation of each and every slides, no, ma'am. It gave us a clear idea, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Very good. Thank you. So, Mahalakshmi, like to share something?
Vande Guru,
Yes,
ma'am.
Mahalakshmi. Vande Guru.
I think this NEP is a very good platform for the children. They can develop their skills. Afterwards, they can even develop their language, whatever they wish they can develop. It's a platform for all the differential learning children. I think this NEP is very good, and your explanation gave us eye opener. The parents can know more about this NEP. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Very nicely expressed. Thank you. Anybody else can add on? Any parent about the value of the NEP? Yes.
Vande Guru, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, Vinita, you can switch on your camera.
I'm being a parent.
Yes, Vinita, go ahead. Yes, Vinita.
Vande Guru, ma'am.
Vande Guru, ma'am.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It was a clear explanation of what exactly an NEP policy is, ma'am. As a parent, it is really an eye-opener for all of us to understand each and every step the NEP has taken. And our children would definitely be very happy when they get to know a lot of initiative that has been taken. And yes, they would enjoy this kind of curriculum, which we all actually missed it.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you, Vanita.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, Nazia, like to speak? Yeah. Yes, Nazia.
Vande Guru, ma'am. Vande Guru, ma'am.
Yes.
We got a
Yes,
clear
Nazia.
picture on NEP. Yes, ma'am. We got a clear picture on NEP. Thank you so much for the session, ma'am. I feel that the main part is there is no separation between science and art. So that my child may get fruitful out of this. So this NEP is a clear structure for the upcoming children, and I hope and every parent has I think has a lot of expectations, ma'am. Thank you so much,
Definitely.
ma'am.
Thank you. Yes,
Thank you,
Neeraja.
ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, Neeraja. You got to unmute yourself, Gayatri and Neeraja. Got to unmute.
Yes. Ma'am, Vande Guru, ma'am.
Yes, Vande Guru.
Yeah. This NEP 2020 is really a new way of learning, ma'am, both for the teachers as well as the students, ma'am.
True. How do you say that?
Yeah, ma'am, actually, when we say like experiential learning, integration of arts, when we were students, ma'am, when we were learning, it's this, when we compare that mode of learning and with the present days, this NEP 2020, it's entirely different, ma'am. So as a parent, I really appreciate this, ma'am. Thank
Very
you so
good.
much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Gayatri?
Yes, ma'am. Vande Guru, ma'am. So as a parent, I feel that this holistic approach is being given to students in this NEP 2020, ma'am. So actually, when we were students, we did not get this holistic approach. The main focus was on education and maybe games as a part of it. But now we are happy and we feel proud that the holistic approach has been given to our children, ma'am. So we would like to thank the orientation that you have given us and the guidance. It just made it still more clear, ma'am. The aspects of NEP, we all are very clear based on your guidance, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other parent? Parent teacher.
Vande Guru,
Ma'am,
Miss.
Vande Guru, ma'am.
Guru.
The vision
Yes,
of
Priya.
this new system of
Go ahead,
Vande
Anandi.
Guru. Yes, Miss. Vision of the new system of education is clearly explained, Miss. So through this, we could understand that how students will enjoy their learning through art, through games. Very nice eye opener, Miss. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Priya.
Ma'am, Vande Guru, ma'am.
Vande Guru.
Ma'am, thank you so much for giving us a sharp clarity on how this NEP deals, especially with the assessment. So the most highlight here is like, all the assessments are in a more friendly manner and it's non-threatening, especially
Yes.
for the middle school category. Students are assessed at every level, and especially the assessment happens not only on their, the content, and the content, I mean, not the rote learning. Here it is all about a child's thinking capacity and a particular area where the child is good at. So it is not that, always you show us this example, no, ma'am, you can't judge a fish by making it to climb a tree. So
True,
that
true.
approach is not followed here. So that's the best part of it. So it gives us a clear focus, especially for the middle school children, to choose their career in the, in the next block. That's the secondary block. So at the secondary block, wherein from 9 to 12, they have a very clear approach towards their career, and that block is actually a greater or a wider one, because
Yes.
9 to 12, it's not
Yes.
like initially like right now how it is followed 11 and 12. So from 9th standard, the child has got the opportunity to kind of get varied exposure in the area which he or she is going to choose. So that's a
Yes.
wonderful approach. And thank you so much for giving us a great insight about assessment and how it is going to be,
Thank you.
kind of unfolded. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Very explicit. Thank you so much. All of you very explicit. Any other parent I've left behind here? Any other parent teacher? Did I leave? Yes, Veena? Not audible, I think. Veena, you got to unmute yourself.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Miss. Miss, the stages were well explained by you, Miss. That earlier how the policy was and now how it is going to have a change. And the main thing is the gifted learners. How we are
Yes.
going to further concentrate on the gifted. Never we used to. So far, even though we have thought of it, but we need to put more effort to
Very
give
right.
the gift. Thank you, Miss.
100% right. Good shot. Thank you. Anybody else wants to add on? Otherwise, I'll invite one or two teachers. What is your feeling about this policy? Have I finished with all the parents? Would like to know? Yeah, Rishma, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Unmute.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, it was really a clear picture on NEP, because even I had a lot of confusion, but now it is very clear and it reached to all the parents, and they will be happy to carry over with NEP. And the main thing I'd like to say is students will they will come to know what is their interest. So at one point of time, it is not necessary we have to push them. This is your interest. They will come to know and they will have rights to opt what they can learn. So this is what I really interested in NEP, and happy that my child will be carry over with NEP and she will grow heights. And to all the children too, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, can I have one or two teachers talking about the NEP and impact on teachers? This is all the parents who spoke. Yeah, Anuprata, would you like to speak as a parent? Go ahead. Unmute yourself, Anuprata.
Yes, ma'am. So yes, ma'am, it is like it is focusing on the individual. So individual skill is identified and the skill is taken out from them, and developing the child based on the skill they have. As there are like animal examples which we say, so fishes can be judged with, as Priya ma'am rightly pointed out. So definitely very much excited to see how my child is going to get inside. And moreover, I am excited from the teacher's point of view as well. So how are we going to interpret or integrate the same in the curriculum and get insight? Sure. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful.
Thank you so much, Anuprata. Can I have some teachers talking about teacher commitment and NEP? Teacher implication of NEP on teachers? Any individuals would like to speak?
Ma'am,
Yes.
Vande Guru, ma'am. Aparna
Good
here.
evening, ma'am.
Yes,
Vande Guru.
Anjana. Vande Guru.
Ma'am, it was very interesting to hear in detail about NEP, slide by slide, feature by feature. Though we've been exposed to NEP in the past few months, even where I was working in my previous school, we did study about it. We did attend a few sessions about it, but I've been very curious. And now I feel that perhaps NEP would, as teachers, we will be helped if we go back, a few years back and try to dig out things from there. Then perhaps as teachers, we will be very successful in implementing NEP in our classes. Like I remember as a student, we used to learn knitting and embroidery in school. Now, how nice it would be, to do knitting in a mathematics class, because
Exactly.
ultimately it's all about that logic and that calculation and all those things. And similarly, while this insight came to me while attending this session today only, ma'am,
Okay.
because I'm also myself every other day we are experiencing, we're attending a training on experiential learning or constructivism, and then we are struggling to make a plan. But it doesn't give you that satisfaction if you are not convinced that the plan is actually doing what you want it to do. So
Yes.
while attending today's session, this insight came to me that we can maybe go back to the olden days. And I'm really sometimes worried that there are so many arts and crafts that are going to disappear with the generations. There are so many things my grandmother knew but my mother doesn't know. There are so many things my mother knows but I don't know. So
True, true.
NEP will give us an opportunity to dig out these things, bring them to the classes so that they don't die out, and we can enrich our future generations with those beautiful gifts.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Very nice and explicit. Very good. Thank you, Anjana.
Vande
Yes, Sandhya.
Guru, ma'am.
Sandhya?
Thank you, ma'am. Vande Guru, ma'am. So this, what as a teacher I'm really excited about is this bagless day, ma'am, because we are always focused on, the textbook, how we are going to complete the curriculum and the syllabus, and we are more focused into that content. But now, how are we going to relate this content to the bagless day, and how are we
Yes.
going to fruitfully use this bagless day instead of spending a day on the field? Maybe how are we going to relate that day in the field with the syllabus that they are reading? How is it going to be really an experience for them, the experiential learning which we are going to interconnect through the bagless day? And the other thing which I'm really excited about is like how Anjana ma'am said, going back to our roots. There's a lot of focus given on the Indian culture here.
Yes.
And I'm really excited to see our children exploring different areas of our Indian culture, ma'am.
Absolutely. Very
Thank
well
you, ma'am.
explained.
Thank you for the opportunity, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Anybody else would like to speak? Yes, please.
Yes, Vande Guru,
Yes,
madam.
Rajesh.
मैं
Yes,
राजेश
Rajesh. Vande Guru.
थैंक यू मैडम फॉर दिस मतलब इस इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए। मैं थोड़ा सा और थोड़ी सी कुछ चीजें शेयर करना चाह रहा था। सरकार ने इसे 34 साल बाद इसको दोबारा से मॉडिफाई किया है इस प्लान को। और सबसे पहले इसको सरकार ने 29 जुलाई में इसको निकाला है 29 जुलाई में। और इस पॉलिसी में मैडम, इस पॉलिसी में 2030 तक, जहां तक मुझे पता है 2030 तक 100% एजुकेशन पॉलिसी सभी को देने का प्रारूप तैयार किया गया है, जिसमें बच्चा 5, 3, 3, 4 के ईयर में बच्चा 1 से 2 प्री और नर्सरी के क्लास में पढ़ेगा। उसके बाद से एक क्लास फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड में उसके बाद हो जाएगा। ठीक है। पॉलिसी यहाँ तैयार की गई है कि जब बच्चा 14 साल से लेकर 18 साल तक होगा तो उस बच्चे को हाई स्कूल +2 इन दोनों एज में वो कंप्लीट कर लेगा। तो ये पॉलिसी फिलहाल बच्चों के लिए बहुत अच्छी है, बहुत अच्छे से गवर्नमेंट ने मॉडिफाई किया है और आपने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया है, पूरा तरो हो गया, पूरा अच्छे से माइंड में बैठ गया है। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दिस वेरी ब्यूटीफुल सेशन के लिए मैडम। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you. So any other teacher, then we can wind up Saturday evening. So one last call and we'll close the meeting. Yes. Any other teacher wants to speak? Okay, so Vinita, we'll take a formal closure on the training. Is that fine, Vinita?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you everybody once again for being part of the training, for being part of the learning. And I'm very happy that in Sashya School, we have a big band of committed teachers who are willing to swallow, who are willing to take up the stretch, you know, and get ready for change. So we've done a lot of what the NEP wants us to do. We will work with more focus, make ourselves comfortable, make the children comfortable, get our children ready for the future, because that's what education is all about, what schooling is all about. So I thank all of you as teachers. I thank all the parents who are watching this program. Thank the Government of India, thank the CBSE for insisting that schools should do the training for parents and take the parents on board. That's a very practical thing to do, that this NEP policy should reach every parent. That is the mission of the CBSE, that we must do it. All the parents should attend and understand what the NEP is all about. So that's a huge document, but we have just made it in a very concise manner, just giving the basic elements of the NEP to make it easy for understanding. We can read the complete document for details, but the most important thing is that everyone is on board with us. Parents must be on board so that together we help the child get ready. So thank you, Vinita, for all the arrangements made. Thank you, Sukumar, and thank you, Sherlyn, for the backup support that you have given me for this training. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Have a nice weekend and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.